watching NBC5 Today at 8.
Good morning. We begin with breaking news as we have big breaking developments in the Dallas Ebola story. This morning we found out that a Dallas healthcare worker tested positive for Ebola, and here's what we have just learned from a press conference within the last half an hour. We know that new Ebola patient is stable. That Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital, though, will not release the name of that person. They have asked for their privacy, but that person was an employee there and had been self-monitoring. The person went into immediate isolation. Within about 90 minutes of checking themselves for a fever, that low-grade fever was found Friday night. They went into immediate isolation. Now, this person is in the low-risk pool, we have just learned, was wearing full protective gear when they interacted with Eric Duncan on his second visit to Presbyterian. Now, everybody who did have interactions with Duncan, a contact, they had been doing self-monitoring checks. Now they will get checked twice a day by the CDC to make sure that they are doing okay. Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins just spoke in the last half hour, and he really urged people not to panic.
You cannot contract Ebola other than from the bodily fluids of a symptomatic Ebola victim. You cannot contract Ebola by walking by people in the street or by being around contacts who are not symptomatic. There is nothing about this case that changes that basic premise of science, and so it's important that while this is obviously bad news, it is not news that should bring about panic.
Now, meantime, all night, Dallas city leaders, since they learned about this test around midnight, have been working to stop the virus in its tracks. NBC5's Catherine Ross was live at that press conference. She joins us now with that side of the story outside of Texas Health Presbyterian. Catherine?
Chris, well, we just heard from Judge Jenkins, and he called this person in isolation right now a heroic person and a real person, quote, going through a great ordeal. They are assuring us that there's very little threat to public health, and that's really what we want to focus on this morning. Dallas Fire Rescue Hazmat, one of their teams, has decontaminated all the open areas of an apartment complex in the 3700 block of Marquita. They didn't confirm this is where that patient lives, but one might take that assumption. They cleaned the handrails, the parking lot. All of those are taken care of. They sprayed a special cleanup agent. They've also isolated that person's car, as well as, like I said, going over all those public areas. Now, they plan to go back to that neighborhood and go door to door again. Mayor Rawlings told us this morning that they did knock on every single door in that neighborhood this morning. They talked to all the people that came to the door, educated them about what was going on. They sent out a reverse 911 call to let people know that there was an Ebola patient living nearby in that neighborhood. And Mayor Rawlings also tells us that he believes there is a pet in that home, but they don't think the pet is showing any signs of the virus. So they're going to try to take care of the animal, but also maintain safety. There is an armed guard at the door to that apartment to make sure no one goes inside. But really what we heard today is them trying to tell people not to panic, that because there was a plan in place this week, they've gone through all those steps very quickly, and the public should not be alarmed here.
And that we had this plan in place last week. So when we got this phone call, which we thought we might get, we put in an action team in place, and they have been working all this evening. So as people are waking up, they know that they are safe. There is much work to be done yet, but we wanted to make sure that you knew instant information from us as soon as you woke up. And as you know, we're going to be staying in constant contact with you, but we're going to let CDC test this specimen and let them make some comments, and then we'll be getting back to you. Until then, Judge Jenkins and I have a lot of work to do, and we'll leave you with a good doctor. Thank you.
And that's the message here this morning. The judge and the mayor want us to know that the people of Dallas should feel safe waking up and going about their business this morning. Again, this test, we're waiting for confirmation by the CDC lab in Atlanta if this is indeed what we believe it is, an Ebola case. For now, we are live in Dallas, and we will bring you updates throughout the morning. I'm Catherine Ross, NBC5.
Catherine, thank you. And Dallas police just tweeting out that they have got their officers at that apartment complex that Catherine mentioned to help inform the residents a little bit. There was also a reverse 911 call. Now, Dallas fire rescue teams, as Catherine mentioned, did decontaminate those areas. And the CDC is now also going to be monitoring those closest to Eric Duncan and his family a little bit closer. Eric Duncan was contagious for 5 days from September 24th until the 28th. That is when he ended up at Presbyterian. Now, those closest to him were placed under a quarantine until the virus's incubation period is over. There is still 1 more week before doctors can give them the all clear. Doctors say it is possible that another person could come down with the symptoms, though, and signs of Ebola still within the next week. So far, the healthcare worker is the only person that we know of showing symptoms. Presbyterian says they have 18 employees that they have been monitoring. There's been a total of 48, though, that continue to do self-monitoring. Then I'll get those twice-a-day CDC checks. Also underway this week, more airports are going to begin screening for people coming into the United States from West Africa. Customs and Border Protection released photos of agents using the new equipment that they're going to be using to screen passengers when they arrive here in the U.S. 5 airports will use enhanced screening. Anyone arriving from Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea will have their temperatures taken with those no-touch thermometers you've just seen there. The first airport to use the new screening measures was New York's JFK Airport. That started this weekend. Later this week, airports in Newark, Washington, Chicago, and Atlanta will begin screening. More than 90% of all travelers from countries most affected by Ebola arrive at those airports. And of course, that means DFW and Love Field are not among those doing that scanning. All right, we're going to change gears now as we have a chance of storms coming in for tomorrow morning's commute. And there could be even a severe risk. Let's find out all the details now with meteorologist Lindsay Riley, who's standing by at the weather expert desk. Lindsay.
Exactly.
As those storms roll in, don't forget you can stay ahead of the storms and track them along with our meteorologists throughout the day. You can follow them on Twitter for the very latest. That handle is at NBCDFW Weather. Of course, we continue to follow that breaking news out of Dallas this morning. A healthcare worker is being treated now for Ebola. Coming up, the timeline behind this diagnosis and the next steps to contain the virus. It's 8:09.